I think Bitcoin is a brilliant system engineering achievement.
Agreed.
Because it is many parts. It has servo mechanisms in it, feedback systems. It has very intricate computer mechanisms and economic mechanisms. But the things that I focus on that are very beautiful to me, one is the idea of creating a crypto commodity. How do you create an asset without an issuer that nobody controls, that is self-sustaining?
Yeah.
And that's a first in human history. That is really a beautiful thing. It's definitely the king crypto commodity. The other thing that's really beautiful about it is this brilliant leap from commodity to scarcity.
What if I told you there's a revolutionary asset that defies everything we know about money? An asset so scarce that its supply is hard-coded to never exceed 21 million units, no matter how much demand skyrockets. This isn't some futuristic fantasy. It's the reality of Bitcoin, the world's first truly decentralized digital currency. And according to Saylor, CEO of MicroStrategy and a Bitcoin billionaire, it's a brilliant system engineering achievement that has cracked the code on digital scarcity. In his latest interview, Saylor drops mind-blowing insights about Bitcoin's first-of-its-kind properties, from its fixed supply that ensures it retains value indefinitely to its built-in mechanisms for controlled transaction velocity and network security. So buckle up and get ready to have your understanding of money and economics shattered as we dive into the fascinating highlights from Saylor's interview.
It's the first time in human history that we created a commodity with a hard supply. Every money in history, glass beads and bales of tobacco and stone coins and copper tokens and paper currency and cigarettes and fiat currency, all of those things were uncapped. Every other commodity, soybeans and oil and natural gas and gold and silver, uncapped. We can create more of them. Land, timber, real estate. You can even extract land from the sea. You can create more of it. Bitcoin is the one commodity that you can buy and you can hold where it is absolutely capped 21 million. So if the price goes up by a factor of 100, the supply is invariant. There is no other commodity where the supply is invariant to the demand or to the price. That makes it perfect money. It makes it the best store of value asset. Most other commodities are much worse. If a commodity has a stock to flow ratio of 1 and you produce, twice as much, or the equivalent supply every year, it's not going to be good money. If the stock to flow is 50, it might be better money if you only inflate the supply by 2% a year, like gold. But it's still not great because every 30 years you cut your money in half if you inflate 2% a year. So this leap from the idea that there should be a 2% inflation rate to the idea that there should be a 0% inflation rate, that's a profound idea. Most classically trained economists and all the Keynesians would tell you 2%. 2% is the right number. We want 2% inflation. But 2% gives you a half-life of 30 years. 1%, you get to 72 years. 0%, you live forever. There's a pretty big difference between 0 and 200 basis points. One thing is you live forever, you're immortal. And the other thing is 30-year half-life, So you don't think it's a lot, but it's profound. Do you want a building that will stand forever? Or do you want a building that will crumble in 30 years? And once you start thinking about that, you realize if you build a capital structure of a company or a family or a country on an asset that's crumbling every 30 years, your civilization is going to struggle.
Bitcoin has continued to solidify its position as a viable alternative to traditional financial systems. The increasing adoption of Bitcoin by institutions, corporations, and nation-states underscores its growing acceptance as a store of value and a hedge against inflation. Moreover, the rapid development of the Lightning Network and other Layer 2 solutions has addressed scalability concerns, enabling faster and cheaper transactions while maintaining the security and decentralization of the Bitcoin network. The integration of Bitcoin into various industries, such as remittances, cross-border payments, and even real estate transactions, highlights its potential to disrupt traditional financial intermediaries and reduce friction in value transfer. However, challenges remain, including regulatory uncertainty, energy consumption concerns, and the need for user-friendly interfaces to foster broader adoption. Efforts are underway to promote the development of renewable energy sources for mining operations and to improve the user experience through simplified wallets and payment solutions.
Gold's got a half-life of 30 years. The US dollar is inflating about 7 to 8% every year. That gives you a half-life of 10 years. Most currencies inflate at 14% a year. Gives you a half-life of 5 years.
5 years.
And then some currencies inflate and have a half-life of 18 months. And so you start and ask the question, I want to build a government. I want to build a family. I want to build a company. I want to build a nonprofit. I want to build a bank. I want a capital structure that will last forever, or 30 years, or 10 years, or 2 years.
Yeah.
And so that second idea of scarcity, that's a very brilliant breakthrough. The third idea that's a breakthrough is transactional scarcity, second order scarcity. The fact that there's only one block every 10 minutes, or the fact that there's only 4 megabyte blocks, or there's only 4,000 transactions, maybe 7 transactions a second. A lot of people think that's a bug. That's a feature. That's actually how you enforce security, and you create a market economy in transactions. So you won't have first order scarcity if you don't have second order scarcity. So Satoshi was smart enough to realize that you just can't move the Bitcoin around every second because the security will collapse and the stability of the network will collapse. And I think that was very brilliant. And the last brilliancy is the use of proof of work and SHA-256 hashing, and not crippling it by saying we're not going to allow you to do ASICs. Because there's a point where some people said, we don't want you to do ASICs, that's cheating.
Yeah.
And but with Bitcoin, they let you build an ASIC to generate 256 hashes. And the right answer is to be able to do ASICs, because an ASIC is a silicon machine with a 2,000-to-1 mechanical advantage over a CPU. And that means that you can put $20 billion of capital in the Bitcoin network and defend it with a 2,000-to-1 advantage against all of the Google and the Apple and the Amazon and the Microsoft networks. So you see, if you didn't have the ASIC, then you would have to spend as much on CPUs as they. And so a big company could overwhelm the system and destabilize it. But because we have a very particular proprietary protocol, what SHA-256, a special protocol, and because you can create a very efficient Bitcoin miner, it means that you can constantly upgrade the energy efficiency and the thermodynamic efficiency of that equipment. And that means that whoever controls all the Bitcoin mining equipment can defend the network. And that is profoundly important, because that opens the door to defend $100 trillion of assets with only $10 or $20 billion of hardware, right? And that's a pretty big idea, right? A silicon machine for security. The other implication is, when I spend 20 or 30 billion on hardware, the only thing you can do is defend the network. And so if you go bankrupt and someone seizes your equipment, they have to defend the network, right? So the only thing you're ever going to do with Bitcoin mining is to defend the network and secure the network. And that's a very useful feature of the network, because naturally what it means is the network has a 12-year security frequency. When it becomes non-profitable to mine Bitcoin, it'll still run for 12 more years, because the equipment is already sunk cost and you can't do anything else with it. And naturally what happens is once you've invested to know how to build a Bitcoin miner, then you'll keep producing Bitcoin mining equipment even at a 5% variable margin. So you'd sell the first machine for 10,000. You'll sell the next machine for 1,500. You'll sell the next machine for 800 plus $50. So you're going to keep shipping security equipment, even if the price collapses, even if the profitability collapses. When the money is scarce, everything else will be abundant. And when the money is abundant, everything else you want will be scarce. And Bitcoin represents first order scarcity in the monetary policy, 21 million. Second order scarcity in the transaction velocity, 7 TPS. Third order scarcity with the hash rate, SHA-256 hashing and hashing equipment. And fourth order scarcity, only a few people know how to create and manufacture these hashing machines. And so all of that scarcity maintains the integrity and the security of the network over time. And because the integrity of the network is secured, that means that the Bitcoin can be used as a foundation to build trillions and then tens and hundreds of trillions of dollars of other applications on top of it. The 20th century was based upon credit. You know, when I buy it, and I bought 214,246, when I buy the next one, it will increase the value of your Bitcoin. Everybody in the world that's got smart money, everybody's got your problem. They want to keep their money. They want to give it to their children. Everybody, you know, every corporation, every charity, every family, there's nobody that wants to lose all their money. And they're all worried about, can I trust the currency? Can I trust the bank? Can I trust the company? Will my building get taxed? Can I afford property taxes? How do I save my money, and how do I transfer it to the next generation? Bitcoin is a solution. You should put in the work to determine whether you agree. If you don't agree, then you save your money. But if you get to the point where you become comfortable, you start to realize that you get the same problem billions of other people have. There's one solution which is better than every other option. So far, hundreds of millions of people have chosen it. Hundreds of billions of dollars have been invested in it. There's 1.4 trillion in the network. We think it's going to keep growing. If you join the network, you benefit along with the rest of us. And if you don't join the network, then it grows without you. And then you better pick something else that you love, that you think is better.